Next, I'd like to invite Clement. And Clement, talk to us. How have you managed to keep your job, if I may say, or maybe keep the horticulture sector afloat in a very difficult time when we had flights cancelled, people stopped buying flowers because they were indoors? What did you do? I mean, I saw that you're thriving now, and the sector is actually doing well. We have orders coming in for Christmas, for Valentine. Tell us, what did you do differently to actually ensure that we have the many farmers who, or the many workers who work in the big flower farms that we have across the country employed and able to feed their families?
Thank you, Nancy. My job is always at stake, even as we speak. Okay. Just an overview of Kenya Flower Council. We will say that we are the association, business membership association that manages the cut flowers and ornamentals subsector in Kenya. Our service extends to also fruit and veg, so our name sometimes is confusing. We have a membership both from the cut flower ornamentals and also fruit and veg, which we support in a small way. Yeah, so we, as an industry, we are probably the fourth largest in terms of foreign exchange, just after remittance, tourism, tea, which is just slightly above us, and then we have cut flowers and ornamentals. But as a group, as a horticulture, we are number 3, just after remittance and tourism. Probably 2021, we may jump because tourism has not done very well in 2020. So we are looking at that. So we are a big sector in Kenya, started off many years ago, and we have grown in double digits over the last 10 years. Currently, we bring in terms of foreign exchange over in Kenya shillings. I mean, in dollars, it will be slightly above $1 billion US per year. We employ over 200,000 people directly within the cut flowers and ornamental subsector. A bulk of them are women, close to 70% are women. Our contribution to the GDP is close to 3%. And we say that we influence over maybe 4 million people in Kenya who depend on this industry, both in terms of goods, services, and all that we do. So we are both large. We have large farms. In our consideration, anyone who is doing over 40 hectares is large farm. Then we have medium, who are basically between 15 and 40 hectares. And then we have the smallholders, where a lot of people now belong. And the perception in Kenya is always that we are a big industry. Yes, we are in size, but we have very small players. Having said that, when COVID came in March 2020, we saw the numbers starting to go up, and we are just in business, kind of venture. Therefore, anything that happens within that space affects us immediately. Unlike other sectors that have to take time before they start seeing effect, for us, we export every day. We are 100% export industry, and therefore anything that happens within that space, either locally or internationally, affects us immediately. And therefore, from the beginning of March, we could see things taking a different turn. The demand for flowers fluctuated in the destination markets. 70% of our flowers go to Europe. The rest go to many other destinations, over 80 destinations. So we saw completely the demand gone. The auction where we sell almost 50% of our produce almost went to the knees. Because of that, we had very low volumes. Companies the companies in the business were receiving very low revenues between the month of March and August. Most of them up to 60%. And therefore, what we did is that because we had to maintain the crop, we were harvesting and throwing away the flowers. And a lot of you saw the images and videos that were doing rounds because there were no weddings, no public gatherings in our major market in Europe. And therefore, we were just cutting and throwing that away. And these also came with some restrictions in terms of travel, international flights and domestic travel. There was a problem. And this had a huge impact on our logistics supply chain. And therefore, what the companies did is that they had to cut back on salaries for workers, especially from the higher management levels, and also reduce on the inputs that we use in the farms. We are one of the largest consumers of inputs, from water, energy, fertilizers, other chemicals. So just to cut back that. And because of that, we did not have the quality of flowers that would have expected, because when you start cutting on how you feed the flowers, definitely it compromises on the quality of the produce. We saw a shortage of also of inputs, especially because we had restrictions. We get a lot of inputs from China and those kind of markets. And because we had restrictions on shipment, we were lacking the necessary inputs, and the prices were also extremely high. As the demand went down for the produce that we export, that meant that we had to cut down on jobs. So we had job losses. This one I would tell you for sure. A lot of workers were sent on unpaid leaves. And we also had rotation on workers in the farms. This decision, of course, had a huge consequence on the overheads. And therefore, companies lost a lot of money in terms of day-to-day revenues that come to the company. We also had a challenge in terms of, usually we have always expanded. I would say about 10% every year there is expansion. But 2020, 2021, we have seen that we have put a lot of that expansion onto hold across the entire industry. So farm expansions, investment in systems, tractors, machinery have been put on hold on most farms. What we have done is that the production now is at the level where it just matches with what the market needs. And we have a reduction even in the area of production, and research and innovation that go into those kind of ventures have been put on hold. We have seen also closure of some farms, downsizing of area under production, and basically just contracting the industry, literally. The other thing is that the investors, we are not seeing a lot of investment either from within or outside. People coming into the industry now because there is a lot of uncertainty, and we have also experienced buyout of quite a number of companies. So you can see a lot of consolidation. Those that have been weak, they're being acquired by those who are much stronger. During that time, especially last year, we had a very limited support from government. I would say we are purely a private sector driven industry. There was not much support from government as we would have expected, especially 2020. There was more focus on the food sector, and we are purely a non-food sector. So a lot of response was going to ensuring that people had food on the table, and not for us. Incentives that we would have expected, like lowering the VATs and value added tax and others rebates that would have received from government were really short term, and therefore we were still very vulnerable and exposed during this time round. Regulators were not able to give us the support that we needed because of also reduced capacity, especially those who are involved in matters plant health, and therefore we had poor produce coming in. I mean, poor produce from our end, because phytosanitary matters are very important in the marketplace. The restrictions of movement by government also affected us a lot. We had to do night shifts were cancelled on most farms, and even delivery of flowers to the airport had to change. And therefore, those were immediate effects that came in. We have limited employment opportunities now in the industry because of reduced labor needs within the industry. And casualization of labor is also something that we are currently dealing with, and which we hope that we'll be able to surmount. The things, I mean, the benefits that a lot of workers have enjoyed in the past have remained sometimes remote because of liquidity on those farms. And we've even had workers who have resigned and opted to take away their terminal benefits because of that uncertainty. I mentioned about the air capacity. This is an issue we are still dealing with even as we speak. We don't have enough capacity coming out of, a lot of passenger flights were grounded, and we had reduced cargo flights coming in. At the moment, as we speak, we are short of about 1,000 metric tons per week. And this is going to get even much harder as we go into the high season, starting from November. The cost is double what we were paying in terms, this is the cargo cost is much higher, almost two times what we were paying pre-COVID. The smallholders are the ones who have been affected more because they are not a priority. The bigger ones, bigger farms, big exporters, have signed long-term contracts, and therefore their produce is able to be lifted much easier, probably than the smallholders. You have seen that the restriction that we've had with the UK government that were just lifted 2 days ago have affected our movement to the UK, for example, and therefore a lot of our produce had to go through Netherlands to the UK. And this, of course, erodes the margins that we get from selling cut flowers and ornamentals. Wholesalers who are unable to take care of the high freight costs just simply cancels orders, and therefore these affect our supply. On the social end, we see that we've had a lot of disruptions at the family level because of the incomes that are reduced. And we can talk about a lot of those things, the disruptions that we have seen at the family level, but I would not delve into that. And therefore, for us as KFC, just quick, how we were able to support the industry. We negotiated with government and trade unions on the new measures on hired labor. And we are happy that we succeeded because unions and the government helped us through the entire period with the adjustments that we had to make. We lobbied also government so that cut flowers and ornamentals remain an essential service and is able to move. And we are happy that that happened. We provided our farms with stickers that enable them to operate even during curfew hours and those restricted movements. We did not have a problem around that. We lobbied government to allow cargo flights to continue operate. Those who could come in, we said government just allow this operators to continue providing service to us. And because of that, we continued to ferry at least what we could, even at the most difficult time in March and April up to June last year. Our engagement with the airlines was very good. You saw Kenya Airways actually putting the produce in the cabins to ferry to Europe. That is flowers putting on the seats in passenger flights. And you also saw the repurposing of a Boeing 787 Dreamliner into a cargo plane by Kenya Airways, and that is out of our intervention. We had a campaign on Flowers of Hope, giving flowers to the frontline operators in the hospitals in Kenya and also in the market, just to give hope that we'll be able to overcome. Together with Hivos East Africa, we actually gave out gift hampers of food packages equivalent to 8 million Kenya shillings, or 75,000 euros to a lot of farms, flower farms. We lobbied the government and VATs were refunded. As we were speaking, it's flowing, and this has injected in the necessary liquidation. And also engagement with the market, we lobbied so that flowers and ornamentals remained on the shelves. And we also did certification for smallholders so that they are able to continue accessing the market. I think we have weathered the storm, I would say. The demand has been going up every day from August last year, and this gives us a lot of hope that we can get to 100% of our usual sales. So better days are ahead. Farms have recalled up to 90% of the workforce. We are now focusing on sea freight to augment the challenge we have on air freight capacity and also the cost. And then the current prices, we can say that in the markets are very, very good, I would say. So we are believing that 2020 will be a good year, especially due to the shortage of flowers in the USA. We are having good prices in the market. We can say that COVID has taught us that we need to be sober, and in our decision making, we need to be well informed. Coupled with very good customer care and market intelligence, we can be able to weather the storm. The reality is that if you look at the numbers in terms of the value, 2020 and 2019, surprisingly, we did much better in 2020 than 2019, which is basically an irony. Between May 2020 to December 2020, we actually exported every stem that was at our disposal. So we did slightly better in 2020 than 2019. So that is the overview, and that was the support that we offered to the industry. Nancy?